My world shattered the day I realized a man I loved kept his most important relationship a secret. Let me start at the beginning. I'm Elena, 24, and I'd been with my boyfriend, Adrian, 27, for 9 glorious whirlwind months. We met at a charity run in Central Park. I twisted my ankle, and he, a complete stranger, stopped his own race to help me to a bench, fetched me water, and stayed with me until my friend arrived. He was 6 feet 2 inches, with a kind of smile that felt like a private joke just for you, and eyes that were impossibly warm. He was charming, ambitious, a rising star at his finance firm, and carried himself with a grounded kindness that was utterly disarming. He remembered his nieces' and nephews' birthdays, volunteered at an animal shelter, and could debate philosophy or laugh at the dumbest meme with equal passion. I was smitten utterly and completely. The connection was instant and profound. It felt like finding a missing piece of myself I never knew was gone. Our relationship progressed quickly and intensely. Within weeks, I was integrated into his circle of friends, a tight-knit group from his college days at Boston University. They were a fun, successful bunch, and I genuinely enjoyed their company. We'd have weekly dinners, go to gallery openings, or just hang out at someone's rooftop terrace. That's where I met her, Sophia. Sophia, 25, was Adrian's friend from freshman year. They'd known each other for nearly a decade. She was stunning in an effortless, artistic way. Tall, willowy, with long, dark hair and sharp, intelligent features. She was a freelance graphic designer with a sardonic wit that could cut through any pretension. And from the very first introduction, my stomach tightened with an instinctive, unwelcome dread. It wasn't anything she said to me. She was perfectly polite, if a bit reserved. It was the way she looked at Adrian. It was a look of ownership, of deep, familiar intimacy, and of sadness she quickly masked with a sarcastic comment. Adrian had always been wonderful with boundaries. He was attractive and knew it, but he was never inappropriate. With Sophia, however, the line seemed blurred, and it was almost entirely her doing. He was passively receptive, which, in a way, felt worse. The behavior started small, almost unnoticeable unless you were looking for them. And soon she'd find reasons to touch him. A hand on his shoulder to emphasize a point, brushing lint off his blazer. You always miss a spot, Adrian. Straightening his collar after he took his coat off. Once at a crowded bar, she reached over and very slowly wiped a speck of foam from his upper lip after he took a sip of his beer. He just smiled and shook his head, like she was a quirky sister. It made my skin crawl. Then there was her voice. With everyone else, Sophia's tone was dry, direct, sometimes even brusque. With Adrian, it would drop, become softer, almost melodic. She had a particular way of greeting him. She'd catch his eye from across the room, give a slow, deliberate blink in mouth. Hey, you! It felt like a secret handshake. The worst was the cute act. Adrian was a decisive, sometimes stubborn man. If he didn't want to do something, he wouldn't, except for Sophia. If he refused to try a dessert she recommended or vetoed a movie choice, she'd pout, tilt her head, and widen her eyes in an exaggerated, pleading look. Come on, just for me? She'd coo, and more often than not, he'd relent with a resigned chuckle. He called it Sophia's puppy dog routine and dismissed it as a long-standing joke between them. To me, it felt like a performance with a very specific audience. Him. The dynamic was highlighted painfully during a group weekend trip to a cabin in the Catskills. Adrian and one of his other friends, Ben, got into a heated but ultimately trivial argument about the best way to build a fire. It was escalating, voices raised, both men digging in. I tried to calm Adrian down, suggesting we just use the fireplace starter logs, but he waved me off, insisting on doing it the right way. Then Sophia walked in from the kitchen, saw the standoff, and without a word, walked straight up to Adrian. She put a hand flat on his chest, looked him dead in the eye, and said quietly, "Stop. You're being an idiot. Let Ben do it his way." And just like that, the fight left him. He deflated, shrugged, and handed Ben the kindling. Later, when I brought up how it hurt that he'd listened to her and not me, he seemed genuinely perplexed. "It's just Sophia," he said. "She's always been like that. She knows how to snap me out of a mood." Ben later pulled me aside and said, with an awkward pat on my shoulder, "Don't take it personally. He's always listened to her. It's their thing." The caring gestures were constant salt in the wound. At an outdoor concert, when the sun was beating down, she produced a baseball cap from her bag and plopped it on his head before he could protest. When he was battling a cold, she showed up at his apartment when I was at work with a container of homemade chicken soup. I found the empty container in his recycling bin days later. He'd never mentioned her visit. My protests were met with increasing frustration from Adrian. "She's my friend, Elena, a good friend. She's been there for me through a lot. I'm not going to police her behavior or ours because you're feeling insecure." The word insecure stung. I began to doubt my own perceptions. The breaking point for my silence was a birthday dinner for one of their friends. We were at a nice Italian restaurant. Sophia was there, of course. Throughout the night, I noticed her gaze on him. It wasn't always tender. Sometimes it was sharp, evaluating, as if judging his every interaction. Sometimes, when he was animatedly telling a story to the group, her expression was one of pure, unguarded affection. And once, when he was turned away, talking to birthday girl, I saw a flash of such profound longing and sorrow on Sophia's face that it took my breath away. She loved him. It was as clear as day to me. And the worst part? I started to suspect he knew it, too, and was content to let that dynamic exist. That night at my apartment, I initiated the talk. I was calm, or at least I tried to be. I told him that while I trusted him, Sophia's behavior made me deeply uncomfortable, and his acceptance of it felt like a dismissal of my feelings. I didn't ask him to end the friendship. I asked for boundaries. No more intimate, girlfriend-like touches, the lip wiping, the chest touching, the long back hug she sometimes gave, and for him to be the one to gently deflect her cute demands instead of indulging them. His reaction was a cold anger I'd never seen. He leaned back on my couch, running a hand through his hair in exasperation. "We've been over this. You're asking me to change a fundamental part of a nearly 10-year friendship because of your jealousy. I've told you there is nothing there. She's like family." "If she's like family," I pressed, my voice trembling, "then has there ever been anything more? A blurred line? A drunken kiss? Anything that would explain why this feels so charged?" He stood up, his face hardening. "My past is my past. Elena, we've been together less than a year. You don't get an itemized list of every interaction I've ever had with another woman. That's not how trust works." He left shortly after, rejecting my tentative touch on his arm. The door clicked shut with a finality that echoed in my heart. For 2 days he was distant, replying to texts with monosyllables. I was miserable, swinging between anger at his dismissal and fear that I was sabotaging the best thing that had ever happened to me. In a moment of desperation, I did something I never thought I would. I messaged Sophia. I asked if we could talk woman to woman. To my shock, she agreed immediately. We met at a quiet coffee shop in the West Village. She was already there, looking ethereal and oddly fragile without her usual armor of sarcasm. I cut to the chase, my voice shaky. "I need to understand your relationship with Adrian. I see how you look at him. Please, just be honest." She stirred her tea for a long moment, then met my gaze. Her eyes were brimming with a deep, old pain. "I have loved Adrian since I was 18 years old. she said simply, and the world tilted. It's not a secret, at least not to me, or to him. The story poured out of her. They met in a philosophy class. She was a shy art student. He was a charismatic, kind guy who befriended everyone. He had a girlfriend back home in California at the time. They became close friends, bonded over shared interests and a similar, dry sense of humor. When he broke up with his long-distance girlfriend's sophomore year, they grew even closer. He was struggling with anxiety and the pressure from his demanding family, and he confided in her. One night, after a stupid party, she said, her voice flat, he was really upset. I was trying to comfort him. We kissed. It led to more. It was my first time. She looked out the window. The next morning, I told him I loved him. He panicked. He said he cherished our friendship too much to risk it, that he wasn't ready for a relationship with anyone, that he was messed up. What followed was years of a torturous, on-again, off-again situationship. Whenever he was single, he'd seek her out. They'd slip back into physical intimacy, emotional closeness. He'd tell her she was the most important person in his life, that he didn't know what he'd do without her. He'd even, on 2 occasions, drunkenly told her he loved her, only to recant or blame the alcohol when sober. He dated other women, sometimes seriously. She claimed he even cheated on one girlfriend with her, a fact that made her hate herself, but she was too addicted to his presence to refuse. After graduation, she continued, we all went to Miami. Another friend walked in on us in a bathroom. He was mortified. He told everyone it was a drunken mistake, a one-time thing. Her knuckles were white around her mug. I didn't speak to him for a month. It was the longest I'd ever held out. He finally broke, showed up at my door, apologized profusely, said he was confused, that he had real feelings for me but was scared. We went on a few dates, proper dates. He held my hand in public. I thought, finally. Then he got a promotion, freaked out about life moving too fast, and said he needed to focus on his career. We went back to being friends, with benefits when he wanted. She looked at me, her expression one of utter exhaustion. Then he met you. He told me he was serious about you, that it was different. He asked me to be cool, to not make it weird. So I've tried, but every touch, every joke, every time I fix his collar, it's a ghost of 1,000 moments we've shared, a habit of longing I can't break. My heart was pounding, a mixture of devastation for her, and a raging, white-hot fury at Adrian. Why are you telling me this? I whispered. Because you asked, she said, and because you seem like a good person. And he won't change. He's charming and beautiful, and he makes you feel like you're the center of the universe until his own demons or his own convenience pull him away. He likes having me there, in love with him as a safety net. He likes having you, the perfect girlfriend, as his presentable future. He gets to have it all without committing to any of it. I'm telling you so you can decide if that's what you want. I've been stuck in this loop for 9 years. Don't make it 10 for me and start for you. Do you have proof? The question felt vile, but I needed it. Silently, she pulled out her phone. She scrolled through old messages, her finger hovering over the screen before showing me a few. They were unmistakably from Adrian. Late-night messages. Can't sleep. Thinking of you. From 2 years ago. Last night was a mistake, but God, you're amazing. From 1.5 years ago. One, sent just a week before he and I had made things official, read, I don't deserve you, sophomore, but I don't want to lose you either. It was all the proof I needed. The emotional affair, the physical history, the enduring, manipulated love triangle he had cultivated and maintained. I thanked her, numb. She nodded. I'm going to tell him, I told you, it's time this blew up. That evening, Adrian called. His voice was tense but contrite. Elena, listen about the other night. I'm sorry I was harsh. Let's talk. We can set some boundaries with Sophia. Okay? I don't want to lose you. The kindness in his voice, now that I knew the truth, was the most painful thing of all. It was the same kindness he'd used to keep Sophia on the hook for a decade. I spoke to Sophia. I said, my voice eerily calm. A long, deafening silence. Then a sharp inhale. What did she say? Everything, Adrian. The full history. The on and off. The I love yous you took back. The cheating. The Miami bathroom. All of it. He started to splutter, a mix of denial and justification. It's complicated, Elena. It was years ago. It was messy. It didn't mean she's twisting things. She's always been in love with me, and she's jealous of you. Stop. I said, the word flat and final. Just stop. You've lied to me by omission every single day. You've let her touch you, flirt with you, pine for you right in front of me, all while knowing the depth of her pain and your role in it. You used her for emotional and physical comfort when it suited you, and you're using me now to play the part of the stable boyfriend. I'm done. We're done. I heard a strangled sound on the other end. Elena, please. I love you. What we have is real. Is it? I asked, the tears finally coming. Or is it just the next, prettier chapter in the story of Adrian and the women who love him? Goodbye, Adrian. I hung up and blocked his number. Then, sobbing, I blocked him and all his friends on every social media platform. The pain was physical, a vice around my chest. I love him so much it felt like my bones were aching with it. But I saw the ghost of my future in Sophia's weary eyes, a future of waiting, of competing, of quiet humiliation, of never being truly first. The weeks that followed were a gray haze of grief. I functioned, but just barely. The missing him was a constant, dull roar. I replayed every good moment, every laugh, every tender touch, and it was agony to reframe them to the lens of his deception. About 3 weeks after the breakup, fueled by a morbid curiosity I despised myself for, I unblocked one mutual friend's Instagram, just for a moment. I shouldn't have. There, in the friend's stories, was a repost. It was a picture of Sophia. She was at a dimly lit, trendy bar, smiling coyly at the camera. And in the background, slightly blurred but unmistakable, was Adrian. His arm was draped casually over the back of the booth behind her, his body angled toward hers in a posture of intimate familiarity. The caption from the original poster, one of their friends, read, "And just like that, back to the old crew, smiley face." I felt nauseous. Had she played me? Had her confessional been a masterful ploy to break us up? Or was Adrian, in his hurt and confusion, simply reverting to his oldest, most reliable comfort? It didn't matter. The toxic cycle was restarting, with Sophia willingly stepping back into her role. I was now outside of it, heartbroken and bruised, but I was out. The pain was sharper than, fresh all over again. But beneath the hurt, a new feeling, fragile but undeniable, began to stir: relief. Relief that I was no longer the third wheel in my own relationship. Relief that I wasn't the one in the photo, destined to be the next woman wondering about the pretty friend with the lingering touches. I had believed the fairy tale he sold me, but the truth was a prison of someone else's making. My love for him was real, but his version of love was a hall of mirrors, designed to keep everyone close, but never too close. I finally blocked the last connection for good and, clutching my fractured heart, began the slow, painful, but unequivocally necessary walk toward a future where I would be someone's first and only choice, not a convenient option, in a carefully managed harem of affection.